Alright, we're here at the Westgate, formerly the International Hotel, then became the Hilton, and then became the LVH, and now it's the Westgate. So celebrating 55 years, 1969 to 2024, and they put together a very nice Elvis exhibit. They have some of Elvis's hair. Some of his belt buckles. There we could see the RCA logo. And some cufflinks and a tie pin. Talks about the fact that Elvis was having some fun with these, as they're shaped like a woman's breast with some hands grasping around them. And then we have some of we got a holster that was given to Elvis when he was deputized in 1964 in Memphis. We'll see that. We got some pictures here of his time here at the International. See if I can get over here. That is the Elvis's shoes that he wore at the end of his residency. Last show at the Las Vegas Hilton. Probably a better shot here. A lot of glare. Sorry about that. That's a little better. After 636 sold out performances, it's nice to see them recognizing Elvis for what he did for the International and this hotel. Viva Las Vegas poster. And Elvis, as everybody knows, Elvis loved guns. So here's a .22 caliber pistol. And we also have a Shelby County deputy badge that was given to him in 1964, probably at the same time that he got the holster. And then, of course, the record that started it all, That's All Right. Back in 1964. Flip side being, of course, Blue Moon of Kentucky. And the last part of the exhibit here is Elvis's Army Watch. Okay, here's the famous statue of Elvis here at the Westgate. One thing to take note of is the fact that the plaque at the bottom actually has the wrong number of performances by quite a bit. They have it listed here that it sold out 837 consecutive sold out performances when the number was 636. So quite a difference, but nonetheless an impressive run for the King of Rock and Roll. Opening night, July 31st, 1969. And we're actually here at the Westgate on the birthday of James Burton, who's featured in the poster. The showroom is still the original showroom, although it has been refurbished, but its location and the way it's laid out is still the same. They put in theater-style seating, as you can see, compared to the cocktail tables and meal services that they would do in the past. And we're here in Las Vegas for a set of 3 shows that are taking place this weekend. It's called the American Trilogy, and it's a kind of a short festival, if you want to think about it that way, and getting set up for next year. They're doing a full festival with many more shows and many more events happening, but this is kind of just a mini 3-show festival that should be absolutely amazing. So again, theater style seating, although there are these booths that are kind of like what they used to have back in the Elvis showroom. And for years I thought that these were actually some of the remnants left over, refurbished in terms of a new upholstery put on them, but I thought that these were in fact original. They are not. Found out on this trip that these were actually installed from when they tore down the Riviera. This is some of their booths that they wound up repurposing and putting into the showroom, but it does have that feel back from the late 60s, early 70s in the showroom. So now we're going to go up on the stage, and I'm going to go to the corner here. So this is the VIP seating area that is set up, stage height. They have one on the other side as well. Definitely a different way of seeing the show, but as you can see, the stage is just huge, and everybody has seen the films of Elvis performing here. That's the way it is. Documentary, that's pretty astounding. So Elvis would I'm going to go kind of reverse direction here. Elvis would come in from stage left. So this is the area he would come in from. Although he would often go behind this curtain here to my right. I'm not following the path exactly. Let me see if I could slip in here. Yeah, they've got a little riser in the way, that's why I avoided it. But so this is now the path that he would actually walk, but turning it back around. He would come walking in the opposite direction to get to the stage left position. And many of you have probably heard that there's still a piece of the original stage that is here, and it is right there at the bottom. That darkened square is still part of the area where Elvis would stand, waiting for his signal that it's kind of time to go on, you know, waiting for the appropriate time, probably with also Sprach Zarathustra, many of you know as the 2000 theme to 2001, The Space Odyssey, but it's actually a classical piece written by Richard Strauss.
Obviously, you can see this is still a working theater. You know, and before we talk about this, you can see how huge the theater is. They don't really build them this way anymore. In fact, a couple years ago, Goldie Hawn was doing a guest appearance on the Jimmy Kimmel Show, and the producers reached out and said, hey, Goldie's on our show tonight. She wants to talk about when she performed in Las Vegas. None of us knew she performed in Las Vegas. Turns out she did perform here. She headlined, and they asked me if I could find any promo material. We finally found something in the UNLV archives. We found the marquee, and sure enough, Goldie Hawn, and the warm-up group was Gladys Knight and the Pips. But Goldie shared a story about performing here and how big the theater was, and that Elvis had let her use his suite while he was here. And everyone's like, of course he did. But anyway, so this is a spot that really is, I think, most important to anybody that takes the tour. So what would happen is Elvis would come up through that elevator there from downstairs in the dressing room. And before he would go on stage, and there'd be an entourage here, everybody would be with him, but before he'd go on stage, he would stop here in this spot, and we've preserved the original stage floor, and we've marked it, and this is where he would stop. He'd bow his head and he'd pray, and the whole crew that was with him would join him in prayer. As you know, he was an extremely spiritual guy. He'd pray for a good show. He'd pray for the band. He'd pray for the audience. He just, you know, they'd all do this, and you can imagine how exciting it was in here at that time. And, you know, everyone would hear the music. They knew he was getting ready to come on stage. You know, a former stagehand who, when he worked here back in 1969, and he was here on opening night, and his job was to hold the flashlight so that Elvis could get from this spot to the other side end of the stage. And he described the atmosphere in the theater in all of Las Vegas. He said it was like bees. There was just this buzz like throughout the city, and just all this crazy stuff that was going on. But this is the spot that he would say is a prayer. He would stand up, bow his head, tap the wall, and then that's when he was making way to the other side and enter stage left. Now, you've been bringing up the number 837 versus 636. The statue in the lobby has 837, and we have that here. The archives at Graceland actually went back and counted the number of shows, and they found that it was 636. And so whenever we're asked about the 837, our best answer is that is a number that Colonel Parker supplied. I use the word supplied. Some people say blurted out, but it was a number. And you know, the people were like, "Well, why don't you change the sign? Why don't you change that?" You know what? It's a part of history. When the statue was dedicated after Elvis's passing, that was the number that was put on there, and there's historic value to that. And we talked about maybe doing this over, but you know, we're going to leave it alone. There are some journalists in town that get angry every time they see it, but I always make sure that we do share that it's 600. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go downstairs into the dressing rooms. If anybody would prefer to use the elevator, you can do that and meet us downstairs. While we're going down, rather than explain these, I'll let you know that as you walk down the stairs, on your right, you'll see a photo, probably one of my favorites that we found. It's a photo of Elvis with Muhammad Ali. And they got to be very good friends here at the hotel. And Elvis had gifted him a robe that was in kind of the style of his jumpsuit. And so it's a photo of him giving him the robe. Then at the straight ahead at the bottom of the stairs is a photograph that was taken from the stage with Elvis performing. So it was his back, and then it was in the theater. And I'm sure you're in the picture, so you might want to take a look for that. I'm sure you had great seats, and you might want to look and let me know. So that's in the middle. Then when you get to the bottom of the steps, there's a photograph of Elvis signing a contract. It was actually a fake photo shoot to kind of look like he was signing the contract to be here. The building was under construction. On the left-hand side is Alex Schufe, who was the first general manager of the hotel. And on Elvis's, when you're looking at the picture on the right, or Elvis's left, was Bill Miller, who was the entertainment director, who was the guy that brought Elvis here and brought Barbra Streisand. And really, when you look at the list of entertainers, we found in those archives these tattered documents that listed all of the entertainers from July 2nd, 1969 to July of 1988. And it's a pretty incredible list. They took the picture down in the lobby. I got to get them to put it back because after Elvis finished, the Nancy Sinatra show was here for a 3-week run. And her show, she had the Osmond brothers, and we have this amazing picture of Nancy Sinatra with them, and Donnie's about this high. But it was the Osmond brothers with Nancy Sinatra and Mac Davis, and that was their show. But anyway, we're going to walk down the stairs, and you'll notice those photographs.
Elvis used the elevator, you said, right?
Yeah.
He used the elevator.
Elvis would come up in the elevator. So if anybody wants to use the elevator to go down, please feel free. If you want to take the stairs and look at those photographs. And yes, I believe that was in the Elvis suite where they took that picture.
That's still being used now by other stars coming right.
Well, it doesn't exist as it did in that day. No. So the original Elvis suite was a 5,000 square foot penthouse. And that was on the top floor along with the first rooftop supper club in Las Vegas. In the mid-90s, the Hilton Corporation invested $45 million, renovated the entire top floor, built the 3 Sky Villas. And the 14,500 square foot Tuscany Sky Villa includes the majority of the footprint from the original Elvis suite. Sounds confusing? Yes. But what we like to say is that would be the type of place that Elvis would stay if he were performing today. And to this day, whether it's up there or here in these halls or in the theater, people do feel his presence. No question about that. Do you know the story of the scarves? I didn't really know about this. So Colonel Parker had arranged, because he used to have a lot of scarves that he'd give away at the shows, and he made an arrangement with a local nonprofit, Opportunity Village, and you know how they do sell scarves in their store? It was residents of Opportunity Village that made all the scarves that they did at the show. So I want to have the OV Elvi kind of perform over here. Anyway, if you guys want to move up a little bit. So this is, down here hasn't really been renovated like the theater. So this is pretty much the way things looked down here in 1969. Maybe some fresh coats of paint and Barry's pictures weren't on the wall. But this is a little bit more authentic. Now, you notice when you first came down the water fountain over there. A lot of the big Elvis fans get very, very excited about that water fountain because they've seen either video or they've seen photos of Elvis taking a sip from that fountain before he would head up. So yes, you can drink from the fountain. You are able to do that. You are allowed. You are allowed. We had it for a while. It was really spraying a lot, but you can drink from it. And rumor has it, if you do, you will sing like Elvis. And this is not a rumor. If you drink, we are going to make you sing.
Where is it? Right?
It's right here in the corner. Yeah, right here. There you go. It's all good. We change the filters regularly, so not to worry. Come with me. I'm not commenting on that. So yes, this is where Elvis' dressing room was. Obviously, there have been renovations here. As I've said oftentimes, the late 60s and early 70s aren't exactly remembered for outstanding design. So things have been renovated, but Back then, it was almost double the size. This wall wasn't here. There's another dressing room over there. That's Barry Manilow's dressing room today. Back at that time, it was the full piece, and it was really quite, there were big crowds and a lot of parties in here before the first show, in the middle, in intermission. This is the original bar that was in the Elvis dressing room. It's actually half of the original bar. The other half is on the other side. Now back then, and you'll probably know this, it was over on this side, up against this wall, and people would enter through that door. And as I say, this was a place you wanted to be. Keep in mind, when Elvis was performing, it was 30 straight days, 2 shows a night, and occasionally a third show on a weekend, a matinee show. Not like what they do today, where you kind of do 4 or 5 shows a year, and I'm a resident. But now, Barry Manilow's residency, he does still 6 shows a month when he's doing here. So he's one of the performers that still does really kind of what the residencies used to be. And he's now signed for 45 shows for next year. But this was, as you can imagine, the people that would be in here. And David will probably talk about that when we're on stage. Again, they'd be in for that early show. They'd come down after the first show. People would hang out. Then there'd be a late show, and then people would go up into the Elvis suite. I was explaining, for some of you when you were coming down, somebody was asking about the Elvis suite, if that still exists. It does not. The Elvis suite was a 5,000 square foot penthouse on the 30th floor. At that time, it was the Elvis suite, and there was the first rooftop supper club in Las Vegas called the Crown Room that were up there. Then in the mid-90s, the Hilton Corporation invested $45 million. They wanted to take advantage of all the big money that was coming from the Middle East and Asia, and they built the Sky Villas that we have today. There are 3. The Verona is the largest hotel suite in the country. We think in the world. We can't really verify that, but we like to be accurate, like our 636 shows. And that's at 15,000 square feet. The Tuscany, at about 14,500 square feet, that has most of the footprint of the original Elvis suite. So you will hear people say, I was at the Elvis suite. And they really talk about anytime you stay in one of those, people will say they're at the Elvis suite. We like to say that people do feel his presence up there. And if you're performing in Vegas today, that's the kind of accommodations that you would want to have. But you can go in and you can kind of see where the footprint was. And Priscilla was here a number of years ago, and when she walked into the Tuscany, she remembered, she goes, that's where our bedroom was, and that kind of went, and talked about the different things. Now each one of them has a pool, and they didn't have that then. But anyway, so you can imagine if it was really crowded that when Elvis needed to get ready or needed to step away, he had to kind of get away from this. There was a room, the door was actually there where the billboard signs are. Now that's a control room, but I can show you what the room would have been like in all its glamour. So he could kind of get ready. It would be something like this. It was moved. Just a little makeup room, bathroom, so he could get cleaned up, take a shower, a little cot, glamour of it all. But you kind of needed to get away so he could get ready and take a break from the crowds. Any questions? One more thing, the mirror. This is an original mirror from Elvis's dressing room. So this was a part of it. And the story goes, if you look into it closely enough, you'll see him look back. I'm not kidding. Maybe a little. You just stare. He'll be looking back. I think you're seeing yourself. Anyway.
Well, this is, in fact, Elvis's bathroom that was here. And, in fact, there is a bed where Elvis could take a nap if he needed to. And we are of the understanding that the mattress is still the original mattress from back in the day. So some of the guys have been taking a little bit of a lay down on there to absorb a bit of Elvis. So, and then this is the actual dressing room. Most of it has been refurbished. And in fact, the dressing room is half the size that it was. And we have Mr. Jay Dupuy over here, who's going to be performing at the shows this afternoon and this evening. And the other half of the dressing room is now for the residents dressing room. So Barry Manilow has that. The real significance about this particular room is the fact that this bar is the original bar. In fact, it's half the bar. The other half of it was put in Barry Manilow's dressing room. But this this bar is when Elvis was here. So you can come back here, make yourself a coffee, as they're all prepared to keep their throats lubricated to avoid the Vegas throat, which has been a challenge for our performers. The other thing that is original is this mirror. And this mirror here is again, original from when Elvis was here. And they talk about the fact that when you look in the mirror, you could actually see Elvis looking back. That is certainly true for our Elvis tribute artists, that when they're all putting on their makeup and they're all made up, they look in the mirror, they're looking at Elvis. All right, so I'm going to leave these guys to get ready for the afternoon show, which is a tribute to the 1968 comeback. This evening show is all 70s jumpsuits. And we had somebody else sneak in over here. I'm going to bug our good friend.
I swear to God.
So Ben Thompson.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
All right, so we will let Ben and Jay get ready.
Follow me, people. So I wanted, if you've probably noticed, the height of the elevators and the height of the dressing room doors. Anybody want to care to guess why those doors are that high?
Because of the showgirls.
Yes, yes. Those things weigh like 30 pounds. And that way they'd get them in, they wouldn't want to have to take them off to get into the elevator, so that's why those are all that way. You'll notice, and you probably noticed throughout the property, all the photographs that you see, these are obviously from Barry Manilow's shows, but all the other photographs you see on property were taken of celebrities either while they were on property or when they were performing here. So you can tell it's quite a legacy. There's a Bob Hope who was doing something on the International Theater. Telly Savalas, if you remember Kojak, and Liberace. Liberace, really, he and Elvis set the stage for what the Vegas residency is now. Elvis for the amount of appearances and getting the big name, and Liberace for taking it to the next level with the production value. I know we had some Wayne Newton fans. I don't know if you'll recognize Wayne in this picture. It's a very young Wayne Newton in that photograph. Number of pictures of Gene Kelly. We'll do this really quickly. This is the green room.
So why is it called?
It is the green room, although it's not green. Well, just people know it's a waiting area. So this would be, and we still use it for a lot of meet and greets. Some of the entertainers that perform here will have, after parties, that type of thing. Elvis would use this for meet and greets. This would be if you were, the A-list people were going to be in the dressing room. I guess the B, C, and D list would be here for maybe a quick appearance. But we do use it for meet and greets. They don't do as many of them. Obviously, since the pandemic, a lot of the performers are a little bit more careful with those. But Barry will sometimes do some. A lot of the entertainers will do it here. We have a step and repeat. And again, anyone that's on that wall, a lot of the performers from the theater in the 80s and 90s are featured on that. You see a lot of comedians. What they did here, after a certain point, the first number of years, entertainers were performing the early and late show. Then the Hilton kind of went to a format where they'd have musical performers for the early show and then bring in comedians for the late show. But they did keep that 8 o'clock dinner, 11 o'clock cocktail show schedule for quite a number of years. All right.
So, of course, this is where guests of the performer, not to be in his dressing room, might hang out. And pictures of all the different performers that have been on this stage decorate the walls. Pretty good sized room. Let me stand in the corner and maybe you get a better sense of the size of it.
Pardon me?
Is there an opportunity to have like a whole dinner kind of type show again in there, or not really?
Probably not really, no.
Yeah.
No. I mean, most hotels are finally getting back to room service,
That's
let
right,
alone
that's
something
right.
like that. But once they did the
Which is so
renovations,
impressive.
yeah, once they did the renovations and got rid of the tables and all that,
Yeah.
you know, I guess you could buy
I
a
mean, it
sandwich
looks like where
and
the
call it a
sound-
dinner show.
I mean,
Pardon
it
me?
looks like where the sound is, that maybe was kind
Well,
of...
those are booths actually, people ask, they were actually from the Riviera.
Oh, really?
That we brought in and put those in.
Okay.
But those are, people can buy booths, VIP booths, and have tables for
Gotcha.
bottle service and
Okay.
stuff like that, yeah. But dinner now would be popcorn, yes, yeah. But it's really good popcorn, if I do say so
What
myself.
did they serve before?
You know, we've got some old menus lying around. It really depended. They had, but it would be like a fillet and all that.
Yeah.
Well, not really. Yeah,
Well,
the $20 for dinner and a
Yeah.
ticket to the show. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, his tickets were only like $5
Yeah.
in some cases, so yeah. That's fine.
We're gonna go this way. Make sure they've got the pictures up. Good. Okay, we're gonna head up the stairs here before we make our Elvis stage entrance. Photographs on the wall. When you're going up the steps, the first one on your left is when they dedicated the Elvis statue. You'll see Baron Hilton, you'll see Priscilla Presley and Vernon Presley, Elvis's dad. They were all here for the dedication of the statue. Then straight ahead was, I believe it's Elvis giving a gift to Alex Schufe, who was the first general manager of the hotel, and Colonel Parker is looking on. At the top of the steps is one of those iconic photos that you saw Elvis kind of walking in the halls, and there's like an entourage with him. When I first came to work here, and a lot of other people that came saw it, always thought that that photograph was taken in this hallway, but it wasn't. The photograph was taken back of house, and you'll kind of get a little bit in the video we're going to show about how he would come down and go through the back of the house so he could get into the theater without going through the casino and causing a little mayhem. But anyway, we're going to head upstairs now. All right, so obviously we're at the other side of the stage. So after Elvis would bow his head and say the prayer over here, you'll see this screen here, and if you saw the movie The Way It Is, this is where they would lead him down this to behind the theater here as he was getting ready, and then he would enter the stage from stage left. So when you follow me, and we're going to have you come out on stage, be ready to do your Elvis move, because you're going to be walking out on the stage in the same spot that he did.
Was this a place we saw earlier where he left to come on the stage? or-
Well, no, he would come up to bow his head there, but he always entered from stage left. So remember the guy I talked about with the flashlight? He'd come right across here,
Okay.
and then he'd come out this way and do his entrance, which you're going to do, and we're going to film you. Yes.
You heard about that.
Everybody watch your step. All right.
And then this is the elevator. We'll take the elevator down that Elvis would take up from his dressing room. You'll notice the height of this elevator and many of the doors down there is quite elevated. For an elevator, it's certainly elevated, but very high. And it's largely for the showgirls who would be walking with their large headpieces, not necessarily for an Elvis show, but some of the other shows that were here. And they wanted to make sure that they didn't have to duck down and mess up their costumes. This fountain here is original, still operates. So this is the fountain that Elvis very likely would have been taking a quick sip out of if he needed to right before he went up on the elevator to get to the stage. This is below the stage level here, the dressing rooms. As you can see, truly here with a number of the pictures celebrating Elvis and what he did for this. And some very famous photos of Elvis making his way through the underbelly of the International. We're going to go back into Elvis's elevator here. And again, to familiarize yourself, there's that water fountain. That was Elvis's. Still, again, from original time. And there's the white. So the third of our tribute arts have arrived.
We're gonna do it.
The room's all open.
Okay, great.
So now we're riding up to stage level. And the other thing I thought I would treat you to is, there we are. A couple of things. Number one, I thought I would take you more of a formal walk around the backstage here, which we didn't do yesterday, to really show you the carpentry workshop they have here, storage. Lots of water. Important to keep hydrated here in Las Vegas. I will also compliment the staff working here at the Westgate. They are, each and every one of them has been incredibly accommodating and kind and very knowledgeable for the production side of the show. So shout out to the Westgate. Okay, so now we're coming back here. Actually, let's go back along the Elvis route. So here's the, again, where Elvis would stand on stage left, and then he would come out. And you see we're working on some of the lighting. So what I want to show you is I want to actually go up to the balcony. Actually, it was something that I've never actually had done before, and went up there yesterday. And I thought it would be something special for everyone to check out. I've actually moved one of my cameras. I was so impressed with the view up there. I had set up one of my cameras to capture a side of the stage, and I think that camera is going to do a lot better to be a whole stage camera. So look for that in the videos for the 68 and the 70s. Isn't that pretty? Look at that. Just look at that. A little bit of haze and you get those lights moving. It's just beautiful. So now, to access the balcony, we're going to leave the showroom itself. And then there is an escalator that would run normally if there is a show taking place and we've sold tickets for the balcony. This festival, we're not utilizing the balcony, which actually works out for my benefit, where I can put a camera up there and not disturb anybody. But it also means you got to climb a number of flights of stairs. So if I'm huffing and puffing a bit more than normal, that's, goes with the territory. But I thought what was cool about this, I'll show you the views from the balcony, but also the fact that the chairs are not as updated as they are down on the main floor. You can kind of see, I'll stop right here. You can see they got wood handles for the cup holders and the armrests. That right away tells you it's probably not a modern setup, as they use materials now that are much more durable. But you could see the ornate designs. Again, wood back seats, wood armrests. And I believe there's 7 rows of seating up here. This area too would have been used for cocktail service. They would have had cocktail tables back in the day. This is not the original layout of when Elvis was here. This was added in the 80s. So these chairs and everything are that 80s vintage. But again, has not been really updated since then. So it's kind of cool to see this more historic aspect of the International. And here's the view that I will be shooting. In fact, I'll have the camera zoomed in so it'll go edge to edge on the 2 risers to capture the ladies on the right and the horn section on the left. So that'll be a nice shot to, again, try to capture a lot of the action that is happening right there on stage. Okay, so that's basically it. And actually, here's the camera that I have set up. And it'll be perfectly dead on center and a good view to get the action on stage. This is the path that will take us through the kitchen that Elvis would sometimes take to get to the International Showroom.
Being worked on over there, yeah. Whoever can't make it on, I think we'll be all right. Yeah, I'm sorry, sir. We're going up with Prouty. You catch the next one. That's what I do when I have man low or any stars. I have to go up and get them, bring them down, and walk into the theater.
Do they always have Elvis playing? Always have Elvis playing?
They do actually.
Yeah, I figured.
So then Barry's here, Barry man, whoever's John's Legend, whoever's
How long have you worked at Westgate?
September of 2006. So I was in the Air Force from '84 to October of 2006. Then I retired and started working here. I used to come here back when I was here in '84 actually. So you guys are gonna wait out here, I'll go back and get everybody else.
Did you ever meet your current partner?
No, I never. Well, you say that because I'm from Kentucky. So
Oh, okay.
we used to go up to Smoky Mountains up in Tennessee. So yeah, I was always up in Tennessee.
This is wow.
And if you get lost, just holler. I'll find you. It is kind of big.
Wow.
Is this enough room for a couple people?
This is 100?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Look at that. I think we could live here.
I agree with that.
So this is the
I love Alabama. It's one of my roots.
anyways, this is the golf course, but over at the country club, and they have a statue of Dean Martin. Dean Martin played.
Look Elvis up there.
Some big table, like a coffee table or some marble table or something.
Now the question is, which room it's in. Knowing that for sound, that's for various things.
Yeah.
He had that redone along with the elevator. And there's the other room. And so this is the room that the other side. I think more of the original stuff.
Sam will be here too, so we can check off both.
And that would make sense. This is crazy.
So again, when we were here, the woman said that the faucet fixtures are original.
Oh, really? So yeah, they would be gold, so that would make sense if they were original. I know, there's like 5 dressing rooms. Look at the shower. They have a party in the shower. That means things to certain friends of mine. Wow. Wow. Get the sink.
design off what the hotel looked like.
Yeah.
So the pool was super cute. The design of the pool was adorable.
The old public pool
The old
for the
public
guests?
pool, yes. They redesigned it. It doesn't look like that anymore, but yes. It was the shape of the hotel.
Oh.
So like if you did a helicopter view of the hotel, you know, there's like three,
Yeah.
you know, it's like a tri.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it was the original design
Oh.
of the hotel.
There's a place in Ohio called Ponderosa Park where it's like 50 minutes from my house where all the stars used to go play. They had a good guitar-shaped pool. And that was back in the, oh my gosh, it's been a long time. That's a cool hot tub with that. Was the hot tub original in here?
No, not to my knowledge.
So when did they redo it? Do you know?
Gary might know. Gary's been here since '06. And then there's people still here that work at the hotel from the '80s.
Oh, okay.
Kathleen, come here. I'm going to show you this bedroom where the original piece for the TV came up on.
Did you guys walk back to the bedroom now?
This is the one I'm not yet, but
Okay, where?
I found the bedroom. I showed Gary.
Um,
I don't remember. The table doesn't look like my memory. I thought it was more.
But they took the bedspread and I ornamental. That's the original.
Oh, this right there?
Yeah. This here. And the TV came up out of there. There's a button apparently was over there.
But
Now,
it wasn't actually here.
no, this was here. And Kathleen and I toured.
Yes, I know, but this wasn't actually his bedroom. They said it was over there.
Oh, well, this is the bedroom they brought us to and said this was Elvis's bedroom. It had the red bedspread on it. And the TV was up. Apparently. Now we
Because I thought they showed it where the fireplace was
okay,
over
we
there.
open this. Look. This is that far.
Oh. Oh, cool. Oh, look at the little sitting room.
Isn't it, darling? It overlooks the, you want the light?
I got it. Thank you.
You got you over there.
Toilets and sinks in this place.
Yeah. Yeah. Got a lot of people. This is where you get lost and you don't care anybody coming.
Couple, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, Bill and I took the
Care anybody coming.
couple, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, Bill and I took the
Probably like.
yeah, large enough to put, even like for the other rooms, just getting the furniture, even the standard furniture for the lower class people like us to stay in regular rooms.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Is there a kitchen here? Yeah.
I see one.
No, he had his food came up on the service elevator. He brought it up. They didn't do no. They didn't do no. You know, probably the smells and the stuff from cooking and that probably didn't want. Yeah, up here for the lower. Gary was just telling me Goldman Sachs is the David Siegel bought this off of when he bought the Westgate, and I had left because I had the credit card.
Oh.
fun.
Really cool. You gonna be up here on Sunday night?
Yes.
Is it gonna be the same suite, the Verona? Do you know, or?
I believe so. Let's see. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Because I think when we did our tour, it might have been actually the Tuscany that we toured.
Yes. The next one's 10:30.
Huh?
The next one's 10:30.
10:30. Do you see what time it is?
You think it's like herding cats? We're organized, John.
Herding cats. It's a great terminology.
All you gotta say is that Elvis has left his penthouse.
That's right.
This was the living room. It sounds like 5 years. Years go so fast since I tried.
All right.
Oh, no, we're just doing a tour. About 20 minutes.
But I think, like I said, I think we might have toured that one.
Gary, who did you say originally built this house?
Kirk Kerkorian.
Yeah,
Kirk Kerkorian built it.
there's a picture of him down there in by the coffee shop.
And he sold it to the Hilton Group like 3 years later.